Hey YouTube, this is going to be a Power Rangers Dino Fury discussion video on the toys. So yesterday I did a video talking about the news that we are going to be getting a Green and Black Ranger individual figure release after it initially appeared that we were only going to be able to getting them in a 5-pack. And the individual releases are coming out in 2022, so that's kind of far away to complete the whole team if you're buying them individually. And so this is going to be a pseudo sequel to my video about the lackluster rollout of Dino Fury toys, sort of talking about why is there such a small amount of Dino Fury toys when you think about it. First of all, I want to say the experience for a lot of people is going to be different. So I don't know what your stores look like, so when I'm talking about this, you know, your stores might look different than mine. But I'm just going to speak from personal experience from what I've seen from stores. But in general, the amount of items we have on the shelves is pretty small when you add it up. You know, we have the basic figures, which is only 4. You have the gimmick guys, you have the Morpher, and that's it. Like 1 or 2 of my Walmarts has some of those flippables, so their section looks a little more filled out. But on paper, we have a small amount, and the sections look pretty pitiful. This is what I talked about in my older video, is that there's just a small sliver, and I don't know if I mentioned this in my other video, but a lot of my Walmarts and Targets, because the section is basically just one row, will often like mismatch them, so they'll get separated. So the figures will be down here with the G.I. Joe, and then the Morphers down here by Pokemon for some reason, and it's weird. So it has a really small presence on top of a small amount of toys. And then as of this is being recorded, the only thing we know is coming out in the fall or later this year is the Sword, the 3 Zord releases, and then Gold and Void Knights releases. So we're going to be getting another small amount of things, and we don't know how much of a presence those are going to have. I know I've talked about in the past how the Beast Morphers Zords had a hard time showing up, so fingers crossed that we actually get those here and they actually end up showing up on shelves and not just on Amazon. But it's just such a small amount, not only compared to Bandai, but compared to even what Beast Morphers had. And again, with that announcement about Green and Black, you are going to be getting the 5-pack on Amazon if you want to get them earlier, but for those people that pick them up individually, whatever, you know, if you don't know about the Amazon pack, or for families or whatever, it's just so weird that you have to wait until the second wave of toys to get Green and Black on their own. And as I mentioned in the previous video, that begs the question of what else would be coming out that year, because like I said, there's some villain potential. You know, we could do something like Weasel or Mucus as far as main things, the Max Ryusou Red. If we use Ryusou Brown and they want to use that, that's on the table. But I can't, since we have such a small amount of figures, I can't see them doing that many more figures, and that's disappointing, because one of the things I was actually very excited about when we announced that we were doing Dino Fury is that we might get some armor figures, because one of my favorite things about Ryusoldier was the cool armors, and that was something I thought we could really take advantage over here in the US, because Japan doesn't seem to like the figures so much in their basic lines. They're kind of more about the gimmicks, so as a result they didn't really take advantage of that on a toy level. And I was thinking, well, here in the US kids would probably love that, and we'll probably get a bunch of armor figures. But with the way we're going, like I said, it would be lucky if we just got a Max Ryusou Red figure, so I think that's really disappointing. But I can't say for sure. You know, as of right now, we don't know much. I listed that stuff we know we're getting for the fall, but for all we know, there could be more, and there could be more in Season 2. I'm just going on speculation, but I'm just saying it's kind of disappointing that it seems like we're only doing the bare minimum of releases, mainly because, again, not only different from Bandai, but for Beast Morphers, we got almost everybody you would need. All the main forms, all the main Rangers, a decent handful of the main villains, some original modes that didn't even appear in the show. So I don't know, it's just, it seems weird. Now, the main point of this video is like, why is there such a small release? So I'm gonna say that there's probably 2 options that I can think of, or it could be a combination of 2, it could be one or the other, it could be neither, and this is sheer speculation. Again, I don't know everything. I'm knowledgeable about Power Rangers toys, but I can't tell you for certain about all the numbers or what's going on behind the scenes or what they're thinking. But I have 2 theories on why Dino Fury has such a small presence as far as toys. And one of them is, I think that they could just be waiting for their own universe. Kind of like with the show itself, you know, I think that Dino Fury, I hate to say they're putting in the minimum effort, because I'm not saying the people working on the toys are doing a poor job, because I think that they look pretty solid, the ones we've gotten and the ones we're getting. I'm not saying the ones they're making aren't having any effort put into them. I'm just saying that they're not going full force with how much they're outputting. Like, okay, we're not going to make 50,000 toys and ship 50,000 things. We're just going to do this much because we're just kind of running out the clock for Dino Fury, and then we're going to go full force with the sort of more kids line and other non-lightning stuff once we get our own universe, kind of like the show itself. And that makes sense to me, that they're kind of just waiting here and they're doing, you know, having a presence for it, but they're not doing the absolute most because they're kind of saving their reserves for their own universe toys. Again, that makes sense, and I've seen a lot of people say because, like, you know, there's a minimal release or they did the 5-pack, that Hasbro doesn't care about Power Rangers. My Lightning figure doesn't have elbow pain. I can't believe Hasbro wants to kill Power Rangers. Like, people are being ridiculous. Hasbro doesn't want to kill the franchise. They don't not care. Don't bother Luke. That's as clear as possibly I can make it. But for me, it's clear that Hasbro cares with all the effort they're putting into Lightning and all these other things. And I think that it's crazy that people are saying that Hasbro hates PR because of Dino Fury's rollout or because someone's missing an insignificant paint detail on a Lightning figure. So I don't think that's the reason at all. But I do think it's possible that they're kind of more scaling back Dino Fury to get ready for the push of their own stuff. As it makes sense, they would kind of care about more their own universe and their own push. I think another reason could be Beast Morphers toy sales. I don't know why I had an accent there. Beast Morphers toy sales. Now, again, I don't know the numbers for Beast Morphers toy sales. I can only go off my observations of how they sold in my stores, so I'm not entirely sure. I mean, other than the fact that the Beast X Sabers shelf warmed for a really long time, and a couple of my Walmarts have 4 or 5 Beast Morphers toys left, it seemed like in terms of the merchandise coming off the shelves, it seemed fairly normal to me. Like, it wasn't flying off the shelves, but it didn't seem like we were overstocked. And, you know, sometimes you have that situation where you'll see that they're just full and that's why they're not reordering. It seemed like they disappeared at a fair route, or a fair rate. My observation, they sold normal, you know, no different really than Bandai. It didn't seem like there was anything too huge there outside of the Beast X King Saber. The one thing I will say, which I mentioned in some of my Beast Morphers Toys videos, is that, you know, a lot of the Season 2 toys, for me, never appeared on physical shelves. I think the only Season 2 stuff I saw was the Morpher and that exclusive US Lion mode. Everything else I found on Amazon. So it's not in terms of my Target not stocking them, or it is, actually, that's what I meant. But I mean, it's not in terms of them not selling well, or them being so stuffed full of Season 1 toys that they never ordered Season 2. They just never got them, and that was my biggest observation. It wasn't about the Beast Morphers toys not moving off the toy shelves in my stores. It was more about me never seeing the Season 2 toys, and then the Zords themselves never showed up. So there could be a factor of how the Beast Morphers toys sold, but I'm just not sure, because for me, in terms of just the product moving, everything seemed fairly normal. It was just the fact that I never really saw any Season 2 stuff hit physical shelves. But that has really nothing to do with how the toys moved, because, again, I never got to see if the Season 2 toys sold, because they didn't sell them. So it could be a factor of they're waiting to go full force for their own universe, and maybe the Beast Morphers toy sales weren't as good as they thought, so they sort of calibrated it. It could be one or the other, it could be a combination of both, but I definitely think it's a little bit, you know, sad. It's the kids line for sure, but it just sucks to see it have such a lackluster presence, mainly because I imagine kids watch the premiere, or maybe they watch the Netflix episodes, and much like me when I was little, when I would watch Power Rangers or something I liked, they want to go out and buy the toys, and then there's such a small presence compared to, remember how exciting it was when a new season would launch here? It happened way before the show premiered, but they would have a huge display, and you could buy almost everything, and it was really exciting, and it definitely sucks to have such a scaled back approach. And as I've mentioned previously, it sucks that based on what we're getting now, it seems we probably won't get a bunch of cool armor figures. I think that was one of the coolest things for Dino Fury and Ryusoulger was the cool armors, and I was excited by that, and I thought that had a lot of toy selling potential here in the US, and it seems like we probably won't get it, but I can't say for sure, but it just sucks to see such a lackluster rollout. But that's why I think we might have a lackluster rollout for Dino Fury. What do you think? Why do you think that we are getting so few Dino Fury toys compared to previous years? Let me know in the comments. As always, until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and comment, step, ring that bell so you can see my videos. Awesome Rider, signing out.